Well, this was a good week to be a Milan fan. I felt like the last couple of weeks there was a lot of uncertainties, there's a lot of chaos going on, right? Missed dropped points, you were missing opportunities here, injuries there, right? Players aren't producing, but these last two games, right, with Como and Lecce were really nice. I feel like these were games that we wanted, right? Games where we take care of business, grab the 3 points, and keep pressure on our rivals above in this Scudetto race. And Milan bounced back after some underwhelming results versus the small teams, but in this Como game, right? Really bad first half from Milan, right? Off the rip, yeah, we got the penalty to kind of save us a little bit, but this game was one of those where we were just playing awful in the first half, and I feel like we really picked it up in the second half. But Mike Maignan, man of the match in this game, hands down. He kept us in this match, and you saw so many times when Como would take a shot on goal and Maignan saves it, they would get frustrated. They'd be like cursing at the sky or something like that. But how many times did Mike Maignan save us in this game to keep it either 1-1 or 1-0 at the time for Como to get that second goal? But it was one of those games where it's like you really see Mike Magnon's importance in this team, and you see when you have a fit, healthy Mike Maignan, these are the conversations we have where he's talking about top five goalkeeper in the world, and it shows you how important this contract renewal really is for Milan to get this over the line. And it's like on top of that, he's the captain, and I feel like there's been so many times where these players come out and show you and tell you how important Mike Maignan is in this locker room, right? To have that, unity that this team has been struggling to have without a captain, right? No leadership and everything like that. And I think it just goes to show how big Mike Maignan is to this team. We always kind of knew when Mike would, perform well and everything like that, the narrative starts flowing. But you see when you have a healthy, locked in, dialed in Mike Maignan, you see Milan just elevate that much more. And this is a huge reason why we are in the spot that we are in for the table, right? Because of Mike Maignan. I've always said, and I was talking to my buddy, I was like, having a world-class goalkeeper in the back of the net is just as good as having a striker that scores you goals. Because if we were to have a Tereciano in this game, a Tatarusanu, right? A second-class goalkeeper that's just way under that level of a Mike Maignan, we easily lose this game. So it's like we need to get this deal over the line for Mike Maignan to stay, because if Mike Maignan stays, then that is just more stability that we have. And let's be honest, guys, there's not a lot of top class goalkeepers of Mike Magnan's level. Let's keep it a buck, right? Yeah, you could throw in Torriani in there, maybe, gamble a little bit to kind of see where his level's at, but truthfully, it's like I don't even think Torriani is where Donnarumma was right at that time. And it's like, you're kind of comparing apples to apples a little bit, but in terms of this, right, Mike Maignan to Torriani, I don't think Milan can have that time to wait on Torriani to reach that level. So the sooner we get this contract renewal done, I feel like the easier I could sleep at night, knowing that we have this deal locked and loaded and we can continue on and not really, worry about this feud, because he's a free agent in June. So if he goes into this World Cup year, right, into this World Cup in June, not signing a Milan contract, then that's a lot to kind of worry about. So, hopefully we can get this deal over the line. But someone who does get the goal, right, in this game for Milan to make it 1-1 is Christopher Nkunku. He gets his goal from the penalty spot. Bit dodgy. And there was a funny clip going around where it's like Allegri was like saying like, oh, it's a shit penalty. I thought that was funny. But Nkunku is really growing on me with these performances. He's really starting to kind of find his own, and I think find his place in this Milan team. And I feel like, with these last couple performances, right, against Hellas Verona and this one versus Como, I feel like these were kind of moments that we kind of needed him to step up, and I feel like he filled those shoes, right? Even if it is just a penalty, right? He misses the penalty, then we're talking about maybe a whole different scenario in this game, and we're not really, comfortable leading in that way. But Nkunku gets the job done, and I really want to say a classic Allegri coaching masterclass. He totally mogged Cesc Fabregas, right, with that quote after he was saying, Fabregas was saying, oh, Milan only made 200 passes, and if we were to play this game 8 times out of 10, then we would win, and this and this. And I think for me it's like words talk, numbers scream, and really, you just look at where Milan's at in the table, and it's like Allegri is just wants to win, and it's like that's exactly what we've been wanting in this Milan team for years, right? Where we would just get these points, easy, done, get the win, smash and grab, and get out of there. And I feel like Allegri is the complete idea of what we wanted for this Milan team. Is we just want to win. We just want to get these easy points, not have any drama, right, in these last couple coaching, roles with Fonseca and Conceição and Pioli and everything like that. So many uncertainties. And yes, I know we did drop points kind of earlier, in the season, right, with Cremonese and a couple of the other lower table teams, Sassuolo and stuff like that. But the truth of the reality is like, if Allegri is not coach and this team isn't disciplined, then we're talking about a lot of different results that maybe would have gone Milan's way. And I mean, you look at just this game versus Como, I was really worried about this game. I was worried. I really didn't think that Milan were going to get over the line because Como, they're a very good team. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Como is a very good team. And as of today, as of recording today, they beat Lazio 3-0, right? Coming off of the loss from us. And that was at home. We were away to Como. So that's not like it's an easy game to kind of play in a situation like that. So the fact that Milan got 3 goals, and we'll go on to the other 2 goals, what a performance from Adrian Rabiot. Nice little Leao assist, I think, on the second goal, I believe. But 2 goals for Adrian Rabiot goes to show that his importance in this team and in this midfield is definitely a player we've been needing to polish this midfield trio or quartet, however you want to say it, or rather midfield 5. But he brings a quality and he brings the experience. This is a player Allegri wanted, and this is the player I think Allegri got, right? And it's just something that we've been saying all season. Adrian Rabiot's performance and importance in this team just goes to show, and I think this encapsulates what Adrian Rabiot gives you. And I feel like, he gives you goals from midfield, and that's something that we don't really get often, and we haven't really got often, right? Reinders was kind of that exception, but you kind of just look at previous Milan midfields, and we fail to have goals in the midfield. And I feel like Rabiot not only has, that dirty work and kind of that mentality to kind of, clean up shop, but he has the ability to take shots on goal. And I mean, that Leao assist was so nice, right? That's just something that no other player can do. Just make a little assist right over the defense, right? It wasn't just a line splitting pass, like the technique to get that over Rabiot, nice little touch and a shot in. And look, and then Rabiot gets 2 goals, and again, it just shows his importance in this team. And I just can't wait to kind of see where this kind of leads, because it's like, okay, is his form gonna drop? But I think just Milan is riding a lot of really good consistency right now. And I think these guys really are, on the same wavelength in terms of kind of chemistry and that sort of thing. And I feel like that midfield versus Como really did well to kind of keep Nico Paz a little quiet and kind of their other guns to keep underway. And I feel like that was really nice to kind of see this Milan midfield do exactly that. So shame not to keep a clean sheet in this one, but I think a lot of us fans were a little worried about this one, like how I was saying earlier versus Como. But we took care of business, and we continued to put pressure on the title race, gaining a much needed 3 points, especially after dropping points kind of recently in these couple games. This was a game that we needed to get 3 points in, and I'm really glad that we did, because I think Napoli in that match week dropped points as well. So that was super big. So really, really happy about that. But let's talk Lecce, the most recent Milan game that happened, right? A game where we created multiple chances, but we were so wasteful. And I don't know what's going on with Christian Pulisic right now, but it is concerning a lot that in his last 5 games, no goal contributions, right? He's been missing easy chances, right? Versus Como, he missed a really easy chance, right? Leao could have gotten a nice little double assist in that game, but he misses a really good chance in that. And in this game, he missed a really good chance as well to give Leao an assist again. So concerns are rising for sure, but I think it's just one of those where I think he's just kind of going through a slump, and that's normal for players, right? And respectfully, Christian Pulisic has been our best player, for this season, in my opinion, right? Scoring and assisting in multiple games and in big games and in big moments. So I think that's something that, you kind of take a pinch of salt, right? I think he is kind of coming off of an injury. I know, he was kind of in and out of the lineup, and we saw in this one, it was Leao and Pulisic. And I'm going to be real, guys. And maybe I'm just jumping a little bit onto here, but, I'll save it for later, actually. Let's actually talk about what stole the show for me, and it was the midfield, right? In this match, Rabiot, Jashari, and Samuel Ricci. This was one that I really wanted to talk about, and this is Jashari. So let's start there. best performance in a Milan shirt, hands down. He dictated the tempo in this game in decisive moments, and he did well to create from deep and really allow our attackers and our fullbacks to kind of push up in dangerous areas and be a threat out wide. So I'm really intrigued to kind of see how he builds off of this performance from here on out. And we paid 40 million for a player, and this looked like a $40 million player. And I've really interested in how these signs are a great thing to come. So I really hope that Josh Shari kind of builds on this. And it's like, I don't think it was, the perfect performance, but I think it's something that we needed in this game specifically. And I think it was one of those where I think it was not necessarily a Luka Modric kind of mirror performance, but it was maybe something that you can kind of see as a reference point on where you can get the best out of Ardan Jashari. And I feel like this was one of those games, right? He was kind of dictating the tempo, right, in deep areas, and he was doing his thing to really dictate the game in decisive moments. So I think it's just one of those to look at going forward and to see what more can he give us. And to be completely honest, it's literally this. If he kind of just, again, keeps on this consistency, how this Milan team has been doing for the whole season, really, if he can kind of keep that consistency, then that's something that is going to be really important going forward. Samuel Ricci was another one I was really impressed with. I was slowly losing my patience with Ricci, right? I was about to give up on him, and I thought he wouldn't do much in this game with the opportunities given, and especially with the opportunities given in previous games, right? He wasn't really a standout in any games, right? Especially against the lower table teams, but I think he played a really nice game in this match versus Lecce. He played like a deputy role to Josh Shari, right, to help create space and link up play in the middle of the pitch. And while our wide players were doing that along with with Rabiot, and the attackers did some work up there as well. So I think Ricci was really just occupying space, really reading the opposition pretty well to get interceptions and kind of just dish the ball out. So if that's something that is going to be his position, right, where he kind of plays that, role where he kind of just cleans up the midfield, don't really know where Ricci's best position is. I'm gonna be real. Like, I don't know if it's kind of like a Luka Modric role where he's like a 6, or he's a box-to-box midfielder, or he's one of those that kind of just cleans up the midfield and just, dishes the ball out to a more creative player. But I'm really struggling to see where Ricci's best position is, to be completely honest. And I'm not really sure where that is, to be completely honest. But it's always nice to see the defense keep a clean sheet. And I'll give my flowers to someone I was very critical about a couple months ago, and that is Konrad de Winter. For me, he's grown on me in these last couple of games, and since Pavlovic has been in and out of the lineup, de Winter has stepped up. So I do want to give him some credit. Even though Lecce weren't really that threatening, I thought it was a good enough presence for de Winter to kind of, see this performance and be like, all right, I'm able to keep a clean sheet, and confidence builds up from there. So I'm really hoping that de Winter takes this performance and grows out even further. But the ball comes in from a deep play from Gabia to Salamakers, who settles it down really nicely to put in a cross for Fullkrug. It felt like impossible that Milan were going to get a goal, especially with how many saves the Lecce goalkeeper Falcone was making, some crazy saves, but we break the deadlock, and this was a pure number 9 goal. And again, I think I said it earlier in this season, we play way better with a reference point up top. And what does that mean? To play with a true number 9, whether that's Santi Jimenez, whether that's someone like Nkunku. But right now, I'm loving Fullkrug, right? I'm loving Fullkrug, and you saw that in his Fiorentina cameo, right, where him and Pulisic were really combining play, and you really saw that Fullkrug could bring something into this Milan team. And I think there's just so many positive signs going forward with Nicholas Fullkrug. And again, this was a position that we really needed to really get firing on all cylinders, because I think it's very clear to the fan base that this Leao Pulisic partnership up top is not going to work. I think it's just so clear, because it's like you need a reference point. But when you have Pulisic and Leao, who are very similar profiles, right, in terms of kind of creating from deep and really carrying the ball forward, like, you can't have two players occupying the same space, right? Whether it is on either side of the pitch, I feel like it's so much more easier to kind of build up into the final third when you have a number 9 or just a reference point up top, like a Fullkrug, like a Santi Jimenez. And I think Fullkrug is going to be a very good player for Milan going forward. And I think this is just a positive sign of things to come going forward for Fullkrug in his Milan career. So I think that's what, 1 goal and 3 appearances for Fullkrug, I believe. So not too shabby. But I was on the fence about his signing, right? But I'm backing a player because it is clear when he is on the pitch for us, we are a way better team. And it's way easier for us to have opportunities on the goal. So, Fullkrug, well done. I want to tip my hat to you. But we still remain 3 points off of first place. And our next game is against Roma in Rome. So this is going to be a very, very big test. And we will see how Milan plays up against these big teams. But we already kind of know how Milan play up against these big teams, right? We play relatively well and we play kind of our style, right? We play up to the opponent, right? If they're, constantly pressing and pushing, we'll sit back and hit on the counterattack. And that's kind of what happened on this goal versus Lecce. But we'll see because Roma are kind of inconsistent a little bit. So it's really hard to kind of say what the result is going to be for this game. But it could be a walk in the park, but you never know because not only is Roma a little bit inconsistent, but Milan is also inconsistent as well. But we've been playing pretty well in these last couple of games, right? Versus Como, versus Lecce. I thought I was very satisfied with how both of the games went, right? Regardless if it was just a 1-0 cortomuso, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a cortomuso. All I give a damn about is if we get 3 points, and that's all I care about. And I think that's all that every single fan should care about. But this is a must need, right, for 3 points to kind of keep that pressure on Inter and everything like that. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think about these last couple games for Milan, right? Against Lecce, against Como. How do you think Fullkrug has been pulling along? And what do you think Milan needs to do to kind of get the best out of Leao and Pulisic, right? Pulisic, last 5 games, no goal contributions. And what do you guys think about Joshari as well? Want to know your thoughts because I've been seeing a lot of very positive things from a lot of fans on Twitter, X, Instagram, all that. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.